Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Student Insider podcast. I'm joined today again by Alex.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? Luke, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good.
So I think to start off the episode, we're just going to give a bit of insight and information into the George Floyd situation that's been going around and circulating quite a bit, causing a lot of uproar around the public. So I don't know if you have any ideas of the sort of things that you want to get off your chest about this, Alex.
Yeah, I've been thinking quite a bit about it lately, and it really saddens me that this police brutality is happening, and it's obviously it's in America, and I don't know how before this happened, I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah.
I didn't really acknowledge it as much, and that's maybe something I could have maybe it's something I could have researched more into. After this is happening, I've started to read more about it, and like as you know, I'm doing my 30-day of no social media thing, but I'm actively, I don't want to stay quiet about it. I want to put stuff out there and share resources.
Oh, yeah. See, it's like conflicting, right?
Yeah. So what I'm doing now is last night I downloaded something and signed up to something called Buffer, which allows me to put stuff out on social media without being logged into social media.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I can share resources. I can contribute to the conversation. I can bring positive change as well. But I don't have to be logged in. I can still do the challenge that I'm doing without I can curate stuff and help people and do my thing of trying this experiment of not consuming a lot of content on social media. So yeah, I kind of found a solution to it.
Yeah, I see. Because it's I know that you've started this 30-day challenge thing. So it's you get to put out the content and the stuff that you want to put out there. How about how you're feeling about the situation, but you're also sort of not interacting with the sort of responses and stuff you're getting. So you're staying true to the 30-day challenge that you're doing. But we'll get onto that 30-day challenge part later on.
Also, I understand that some people, and myself included, that I didn't know what I wanted to say, and you might think that when you're talking about this, it might come across in the wrong way. But I think I feel staying silent is worse than not saying anything. And we can do things such as reading around the topic, signing petitions, donating money. There's so many things we can do. And I saw this thing on social media, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing or anything, but when people were just tagging a load of names, and it was just endless thing of black screens with names on it. And I feel absolutely you can do that, but I feel it's a better resource to share things that you've read, or sharing petitions or something like that, instead of I read into, so the hashtag Black Lives Matter. Yeah, and that is supposed to be about the petitions and the protests, I think, and it's supposed to, and not necessarily just there was, I found out about something called it was Blackout Tuesday, wasn't it?
Basically, if anyone wasn't informed about that, on Tuesday this week, so it's now the 5th of June, today Friday, but the Tuesday that just came, I think there was 25 million posts where people just posted there's a black box, and they put the hashtag Blackout Tuesday just to show the respects of what's been happening recently, and just to try and to raise a bit of awareness. So anyway, to some of the things that you can do to help, if you can just do an easy search on Google just to see how can I help Black Lives Matter, and you'll get loads of things come up. But one of the main things you can do is to donate to certain causes that need the funding. So I think there's a lot of sort of charities and fundraising drives that have been put forward, that have been to help support George Floyd's family and friends, and to bail out some of the peaceful protesters that were arrested falsely just for protesting. As long as I think at the minute, because you've got two sides with people that are they're violently rioting and protesting violently, and if you don't know if you've seen on the news, but in America it just seems to be absolute haywire at the minute with all the looting and stuff that's been going on. That is not the good way to go about it, because throughout history violence has never really brought about peace. Violence will only bring up more violence. I mean, that's been true for let's think Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and Mahatma Gandhi, who all protested peacefully and managed to make huge changes to the way that society and stuff has progressed throughout history. So I think
Yeah.
that's definitely one of the main things to do. If you don't have any sort of like spare change, and you know, you might not like have a job or be old enough to sort of have your own income and have like the spare money, there's ways that you can work around it. So I know that a lot of people, like, just say like on YouTube, someone will put up a video and they'll say like all the ad revenue for that video will go towards certain like fundraising and charities. So just watching the video will then generate money. I saw one on Instagram recently where it was a page that if you liked the picture, they donate a certain amount of money, whether that they actually do it or not. So make sure you actually find like trustworthy people that will actually donate, so that they're not just fishing for likes and taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the other day as well, I was listening to so two people I know from the UEA, they have a podcast as well.
Oh, nice.
And they were talking about this topic, about George Floyd and police brutality. And they were talking about how, like, some people, like, including myself, they might not know in the beginning how to help. And, like, all it takes is to just ask someone. All it takes is a Google search to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's not, and like, it's a difficult topic to tread and like how to approach it. But if you just ignore it, it's much worse, I think.
Yeah, I saw a quote that was circulating around social media recently. Obviously, you've been a bit sort of unaware of this because of the challenge, but I can't remember who exactly the quote was by, but it was basically saying it's not enough to be like non-racist. You have to actually be anti-racist and work towards actually fighting against it, because otherwise, you know, like in today's society, like, you know, the prejudice and the intolerance that's been going around, like it won't change, and it will just stay consistent. So you really do need to sort of push forward with the rest of the people that are like protesting peacefully. I think there's some other things that you can do as well. Is there's a lot of petitions going around. I've signed quite a few of them. I think one of them was to like sort of bring attention about getting some of the officers that were involved prosecuted. Derek Chauvin, right? Something like that.
I believe so. And yeah, there's one there, 'cause he got charged with third degree murder, if I'm correct. And
I think they recently changed it to a second degree.
Oh, did they?
Recently, I think I saw it on the news. I think it was yesterday or a day or two ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think in America, is third degree murder the lowest one, and then like and then I'm assuming first degree murder is the one where it's the highest charge
Yeah,
person gets.
I think third degree is when
or something.
it's third degree is when it's accidental, and second degree is when it was intentional but it wasn't premeditated. So it was like in the moment, like you meant to do it but you didn't plan it beforehand. I think as we speak, like the process is definitely bringing up more and more, like the government are starting to realize, and like, you know, the law enforcement, they're starting to realize that people are like really annoyed about this. So action is now being taken, which I think is the main thing to take away from this whole protesting thing, which is what needs to be done realistically, because, you know, it's 2020. Like it's such like an advanced year. Like we're so far ahead of where like we were ages ago, but some things just haven't progressed. Like racism and some other, like, you know, other, you know, social issues just haven't seemed to progress at the same rate as other things have.
Yeah, like absolutely. Like people need to make noise, in a sense that people need to bring attention to what's happening so change can be brought around.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, I guess like in the sort of like show notes for this podcast, we'll put down some links and stuff that we've like looked at and used ourselves to, if you'd like to sort of look into this a bit more than you may already have. But I think now might be a good time to close up that section and move on to talking about today's theme of the episode.
Yeah, so today we are talking about the importance of work-life balance.
Yes, the dreaded work-life balance that I think like it's just something that stresses everyone out so much. You get so like worked up about it. There just doesn't seem to be a way to sort of like get that right balance. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you know.
Like I know myself. Like I know we're talking about work-life balance, but I definitely know it's something I could get better at, and something that I probably don't. I probably put a bit too much emphasis on work, And that's something that I've acknowledged in the past, and then I realized, okay, let me take a step back. Let me see the different areas of my life. Let me realize that I should put more emphasis into other areas of life except my work.
Yeah. So right now, how would you say your life balance is at the moment? Obviously, because we're all sort of stuck indoors right now, and obviously, have you finished your exams for UB, Alex?
Oh yeah, they were cancelled. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
sorry, I remember you
yeah,
saying. So
yeah.
so now that your exams are over, so I doubt that there's like little sort of uni work that you need to do now.
Mm.
But how would you say like, so we'll say like when you were at uni and then now, how is like the work life balance different for you?
I I feel like for me, it's mostly just changed on the things that I am working on. So like I'm still working quite a bit. Like I'm working on my content and my brand online and the stuff that I'm doing like that, and I'm trying to dive into some other stuff like I was looking into I was planning to before to spend quite a bit of the summer um like being a video editor for someone, or
Okay.
diving into the freelance world. And that's something that I'm started to hopefully do, is like be a remote video editor over the summer, because
Oh, nice.
because I, I love making my videos online, and I love putting content out and providing value to people. But in terms of it, I haven't seen the results that I completely wanted to see.
What is that with the content that you've been putting out?
Yeah. So maybe I just need to reevaluate where I'm putting my time, and like I can't put all my work time into that, because I feel like, yes, I would like to, but in terms of thinking long term, in like career wise, maybe it's not the smartest decision. And yeah, that's where my thoughts are about the moment. Like something that's helped me recently about trying to figure this stuff out. Like for the longest time, I never really know what I wanted to put out, but like just writing my thoughts down in like a note taking app on my computer, or either like by hand or something, made me try and figure out what I want to do. Like, and I've I know I've changed a lot of what I think I want to do in the future. Like when I started uni, I was like, I definitely want to go into marketing. That's something that I want to do. I want to be like someone that's like does a lot with Google Ads or something like that. Then I realized I'm not as interested in that. And I've been doing this thing of making videos and making films for years. I think I want to become a videographer, a filmmaker, something that I might be doing for someone, plus doing my own side thing. Like it's hard to figure out, don't you think? Like
Mm.
it's not an easy process, and like at 19, nearly 20, there's no way I'm gonna have my life figured out now. It's like that's crazy to try and say that's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've got like plenty of time to figure out everything that's going on in your life and getting everything like all this, like where you're putting your work and like where you want to like move towards. Obviously, you sound like you're a bit conflicted with it all at the minute.
Yeah,
So like I'd say like one of the hardest things about sort of balancing the work and the life is like if you just focus on the work part, like where exactly do you put the time that you have allocated to the work part of your day, and then at what point does that start cutting into the life bit? Because if you start putting too much into the work bit, okay, I want to do this, and then you were saying like, okay, I want to start becoming like a video editor for people as well. That's like maybe even more time cutting into your life balance as well,
yeah.
because yeah.
Like you have to put time into um like um Thomas Frank talked about in his one of his recent videos. Um, he split it into 4 categories, like health, relationships, work, and hobbies.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's really good. That's a really good way of splitting it. And he talks about how it's like a burner on the stove. So it's like how much you put onto each one. So like what I realized is, and what I started to do, I started to turn down how much time I put into my work, and that and doing that allowed me to, okay, I'm going to focus more on my health. I'm going to focus more on my relationships. I'm going to focus I guess and yeah, more on my hobby. So like what I've wanted to be doing recently is do something that is not related to the goals I'm trying to achieve. Just do something for fun. Like
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, learning the guitar and anything like that. I got guitar right behind me over there. It's like it's just trying to make a balance in your life, which is not easy to achieve at the end of the day. And like we can all understand that we've something that we could probably get a bit better at.
Yeah, I think one of the worst things about the work-life balance is that, but just say for me and you, like we do very different things. Obviously, we're both at uni, but we're both studying different things, and the
Yeah.
amount of work that we put into different things is going to be different. You know, like you might do more than this than I do, so it's like you can't just search up online and look. Okay, so I'm this. I'm a biochemist. What's the perfect work-life balance for a biochemist? You can't do that. You know, it's
Yeah. It's all up to you figuring it out. There's no one fixed solution. There's nothing. It's all about everybody individually.
Yeah, I think as well as like as that is because we're all different as well. Like I might be able to put more work, like have a bigger work sort of portion of the day than other people because I don't know, like that's what I'm used to, and I can handle that, and that's what like sort of how I like things at the minute. But then again, like someone else might be like, I can't really do as much. I need more time, you know, for myself. So like I think it just comes down to the fact that everyone's different in sort of the amount of work that they can do,
Mm.
and like sort of trying to balance that with all the other things that they've got going on in their life as well. But as you were saying, like it's definitely one of those things that you have to figure out for yourself, which is what makes this topic, I think, one of the trickiest things, and one of the things that causes the most stress in people, that when they do start like committing to a full-time job and committing to like a new path or new career in their life, is that after a while, like you start realizing that, and the stress builds up. And that was definitely one of the cases for me. And like I had this I had like a massive like issue at uni with sort of trying to balance the work and the life recently. Basically it was around January time. I just finished my exams that were halfway through the year, so they're what they call the mid sessionals. But basically, like after that, like throughout of it, I was like incredibly ill, just because like the portion before the exams I was studying. On top of that, I had like a pressure because I needed to get a certain percentage to be like given a chance to go abroad next year. So like there was that stress on top of me as well, and some other things that was going on. And then I had to sit through my exams, and I made myself really ill from the amount that I was studying. And then after my exams, basically like I had to basically after my exams finished, it was pretty much just straight back to uni. So then back to uni, and then all these other opportunities are opening up. I didn't want to miss out on them, so I ended up trying to commit myself to all these different things. And then I reached this like point, which is basically called burnout, which is actually where the amount of stress that you've built up actually causes you to sort of have like physical sort of implications, where basically your cortisol levels and like the system that controls it, it basically just goes haywire and just completely like it just goes faulty. And I just could not get myself back on track. So basically what I had to do was cut out certain bits of my work life in order to get back some of the time where I could just relax and actually build myself and build my like body back up to the point where I could start working as hard as I did before again.
Yeah, and um like something that I can resonate with that is like sometimes I might have hit into a unmotivated rut because I've taken too many things on. Like I've taken on the, and like you probably resonate with this as well. Like I've taken on, okay, I've got my classes, I've got these sports that I'm doing, I've got these other extracurricular things such as societies. Okay, I've also got my YouTube channel, I've also got this, I've also got that. Having all of them, it's
Yes.
just, you're going to hit a point, if you don't take a break, you're going to explode, because you get me.
Yeah, I mean, have you like ever reached a sort of point like that, being at uni or maybe doing A levels? Have you ever had sort of an experience where you've like burnt out?
I don't think I'll say I've reached a point of burnout, but I think I've definitely reached a point of, maybe you could classify it as burnout, but hitting a point where I just don't. Yeah, probably is classified, but like I call it an unmotivated rut. Is what I've hit a point, and it's like I don't want to do anything. I don't want to study. I don't want to work on my side projects. I didn't want to do anything really. And there's that is because I probably, and it's because you put too much. You're trying to go too fast too quickly. You're trying to get too much. You're trying to do too many things, and it's about finding that balance of that allows you to keep the longevity of it, also enjoy it, but also get the things you want to get done.
Yeah, like, I think for me, one of the main things that caused my burnout was obviously like all the exams, and I didn't give myself a break between the exams and then moving on to the next part of uni. And basically, like, there's this thing called FOMO, which is the fear of missing out, which is one of the sort of the biggest things, and one of the things I hate the most about being at uni is that going to uni, I've realized like there's so much going on all the time, and it is now I've realized that it is literally impossible to do everything that the uni gives to you, and all the opportunities that are thrown at you. You can't take on them all, because after a while, like, you just won't be able to handle it, which is what happened for me. So I'll explain what happened like in a bit more detail. So after I finished my exams into January, I was filling out my application to go abroad. So I was having to plan like all these like documents and stuff to send off to the uni to get myself ready to like get my visa and everything. And then on top of that, I also joined this thing called iGEM, which is basically like an international competition where groups of students from unis and like other schools, they build a big synthetic biology project. And the amount of work and like planning meetings and all this other like stuff, and on top of that, I had to learn how to do new things on top of everything that I was doing, and it just all built up, and I was just not able to keep up with it whatsoever. And then I ended up just like burning out completely, and I had to actually go to a GP from how bad I got from all the stress that I'd sort of experienced over like months.
So what happened after you hit that point of burnout? Like what
Oh,
happened?
like,
Yeah.
so basically, I was sort of I think I came back from one of the like the iGEM meetings, and I just I was walking back to my accommodation. I was just thinking to myself, like, where's my time gone? Like, I don't have any time to sit down. Like, I was just thinking, like, I need to go back. Like, I'd already had like a massive long day at uni. I then had to go to a meeting, and then I had like, I think I had training in the evening, and I still had loads of like coursework and stuff that I needed to catch up on because I was so behind from everything that I was doing. And I just thought, like, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is getting ridiculous, and I didn't really know what to do. I think one of the first things I did is like, I think I called up like my parents, and I was just like, I'm feeling really stressed right now. I don't really know what to do. But they just sort of gave me a bit of like a short-term comfort, like, just, like, just try and relax, try not to do too much. But obviously they don't really understand sort of how the uni atmosphere is, and how it's like, you can't just relax, you've got stuff to do that you need to get done. So what I ended up doing is I went to one of my lecturers, who I was quite sort of close with from like, meetings and stuff like that in the past. But basically I went to her and I just said like I basically, it was just a cry for help. Like, I really need help right now. I'm just so burnt out, and I don't know what to do. So basically what we did is she sat with me, and we basically just wrote out all the things that I was doing at the time. And she was like, just start crossing things out, like, and just get rid of some of the things. And eventually I realized that the thing that was causing me the most stress was being on the iGEM team, because being on a team, like, you've got so much responsibility, because if you don't do your part, then you end up influencing the whole team. So I ended up dropping out of that. But after that, I managed to, like, I had like a massive block of time where I managed to like use that time to just to rebuild myself back up to a point where I could start, working hard again.
And I feel like I always used to say yes to things. Anything someone would chuck my way, I'd say yes, yes, yes. I didn't take any time to think about it. I'll just go, oh, that's another opportunity. I'll just say yes. When actually, that's probably not the smartest decision. It's like, I think we talked about this in the first episode as well. I mentioned it, like essentialism, which is a book, is say, okay, let's say we have the different categories of being at uni. You have classes, hanging out with friends, extra work for your classes, so prep work, the work you get set for seminars or labs or whatever. So you have a side project as well, sports, what else? Just other extracurricular stuff. Like you say, you wrote them all down. What you can do is you say you write them all down. Then you need to, okay, what's my number one priority? what can I cross out that will make me enjoy more what I'm doing overall.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean though. So like that's basically like what we did is basically we just wrote down everything that like I did. I ended up crossing out the iGen just because of like, yeah, it was just way too much. But afterwards I was able to keep up with the course and got myself back on track. But it did take a while to get yourself back on track. But yeah, I think one of the most important things is realizing the problem before it gets too severe for you to like catch up, and because then you need to take big chunks out of time just to recover, and then that ends up having more of an impediment on your work-life balance later on. So it's just like an endless cycle of like you becoming like burnt out, and then all this work starts piling up again.
Yeah, like, and online there's like a lot of like hustle culture, work all the time kind of thing, and it's like people go, oh, you need to work 18 hours a day. It's like that's not good for you mentally, physically. It's not just not good for you overall. It's like that can lead to really bad um, negative effects for you, like because you can't keep that up for a long period of time at all, and like that can bring a complete toll on your life. And like, and I was watching this video, and this person talks about how they were a real estate agent, and how they spent they spent 4 years working 14 hours a day. They didn't spend like any time for their relationships. They literally just focused on work, and that was it. And they said he hit a point where he was so unhappy, and then he realized, okay, I really need to fix this. So he took a step back, and he started working less hours. And then he saw, okay, he was much happier after. He was happy with his relationships, happy with his health. Plus, he was making more money. And like, and there was this thing by executive at a company, and they done an experiment, right? And they said, okay, let's compare our employees working 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for 8 hours a day, versus working 8 hours a day, working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And they saw, compared to that week to week, the employees got basically the same amount done. They accomplished the same amount. They were the same efficient, and they were more rested when they were working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, compared to the 6 days a week.
That's really interesting, actually. So in a way,
and that was by Henry Ford.
Yeah, Henry Ford. He's the guy that's the guy that made Ford, right? Yeah. But you know, like that comes back like, so in a way, like basically by working more sort of like smarter, like working smarter, in a way, it then allows you to sort of have more time to do the things that you enjoy.
Absolutely.
So you're saying like you get like the negative influence of people online saying like, oh yeah, look, I do all this stuff and I'm really happy, and you see that online. But has the social media detox that you've been doing, has that sort of helped you like in a way, like in sort of like figuring out your balance at all?
Of like the amount of time working, or
Yeah, like, so you're saying that, you know, like you see stuff on social media about all these people that do all these like really like amazing things and how they have all this time in the world to work, but basically has not seeing that helped you like in a way to find your balance a bit better?
I feel like one, yes, but two, kind of no, because I've consumed subconsciously, not knowing, just being on Instagram or something for like the whole period of like years, seeing people go like, you have to work. That's the way you get it. It's like, I actively never consumed content by people saying, oh, you can become rich in a week, you can become rich in a month. I completely disagree with that. That's not how it works. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience. And by me seeing more people that are more authentic, I've understood that, okay, I know success takes more time. It takes more work. And that's something that's kind of just come into my subconscious. But I have seen from doing this 30 days of no social media, how much time I spend on it, just like picking up my phone and start scrolling. Now doing this, I can see that instead of keep going to that, I can work more intensely on my work, and then at the end of the day, I can spend time relaxing, chatting with friends, spending time with family. That is something that you can do if you you should have like an end to your work day. You should, okay, I'm going to finish work at this time, and then I come back to it tomorrow. Like, and I feel like being someone that does quite a lot of stuff online, and there's like a lot of people like that. It's hard to try to find an end to the workday, because like when you go to someone to work and then you come back, usually like before everything happened, but there's a time you leave the office. So, and but now with technology, like you can work from home, and obviously we're encouraged to work from home at the moment because everything happening. But it's hard to find that balance when the location you're working in is the same as where you work and the same as where you rest, because it's a conflict in, because you need to find that separation. Like when I was at uni, right, what I really found is that helped me was having that separation of where I'd work and where I would rest. Like I would always say, okay, when I'm studying, I have to go to the library. It's a 5-minute walk away from me. That's where I need to go to study. And then, okay, in my room, that's where I rest. That's where I do my side projects and stuff like that. And having that separation really helped me. I noticed in the first month of university that having that separation helped so much.
I think that was definitely one of the things that I didn't do. But it was only after I'd finished my first set of exams that I realized that I do need that distance, because, you know, like my room was basically like, there was a bed and then there was like the desk. And it was literally like, okay, I've got my room, and everything I do in here is like my relaxing time. I guess like if I'm going out with friends as well, but you know, that desk is right there, and that just is like a constant reminder of like, oh man, maybe I should be doing this right now instead of like sitting on my phone and, you know, watching Netflix or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like what you're saying, like going to the library and having that separation is like, when you go to the library, I guess it's like subconsciously, like you kick into like, okay, I'm going to work hard so that I can get out of the library earlier and go back to my relaxing space, you know?
Yeah, especially because you're surrounded by so many people working. It doesn't feel right to pick up your phone or watch YouTube or something. It doesn't.
Yeah, they're watching.
Yeah, yeah. Like all these people are doing stuff. You're like, okay, not only do I need to do this for me, I don't need to look. I should look like I'm working, because like it just looked bad otherwise. It just
Yeah, and then
happens
like,
subconsciously.
yeah, like you feel like you're demotivating other people as well, because if like you're working hard and just sitting there like this, like, oh, what's this person doing and whatnot,
Yeah.
it can be, I think it can be quite distracting, especially when people are talking in the library as well, because that used to happen quite a bit. Obviously, it wasn't like really loud conversation, but you can just hear like muttering in the background. And like, humans are naturally really nosy, so like we'll be sitting here and I'll just look over. I'm like, what are they talking about? It just completely like distracts me from what I'm doing. But
Yeah, like at UEA, which is quite nice. They have different floors for different things. So like
all right,
so like they have like I think 5 floors in total in the library. So like the second and third floor is like the silent floor. So like there's no talking allowed. So then if you want a complete silence, majority of the time there is complete silence there. Like obviously you hear some things there every now and then, obviously, but having that,
a book dropping or something like that.
yeah, but generally it's pretty quiet. But then if you want to go to somewhere where you want to work and talk, there's like the first floor where you can go and like you can eat in there as well. It's like having that different mood of what you want, knowing what's best for you, also, and knowing what you want to get done, what you want to, how you want to do it at that time.
Yeah, they have something similar at King's. I didn't really use many of the libraries. I used the one that was the most convenient to me, which was on Guy's. It has 2 floors of the library, but they're both quiet zones and they have dedicated rooms to silent zones. I personally, I really find it hard to I really struggle to study in dead silence. Like I need some sort of background noise. But the way I combat that is I usually have like my headphones in and I listen to something just to in the background, but nothing with lyrics, because I just find it just completely like throws me off of what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to listen to like some sort of like instrumental or something. Like I started to like at the beginning of first year, I started to craft a playlist on Spotify, like of all the songs that I liked when I was studying, and then like I have different playlists for different things. So like I have a playlist that I use for when I'm editing in the background. So knows, okay, that's my editing moodish kind of, and then I have music
Nice.
which is like studying music. So when it's on, that means studying.
Do you reckon that'd be a good way to sort of get your mind into like to focus your mind onto certain things? So like you have like your editing music, and then when you hear that, your brain sort of like turns on all of the all of the nerves that are like associated with editing, and you can like sort of become more productive in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, because I see it can just help you get into the task. Like, so like I know for writing also, like when I'm writing scripts or um, doing anything that's revolved around writing for non-school and non-university related stuff, I have music that I listen to. I guess that's a good way that you can get a separation if you're working in the same space as well. So like say you only have access to one space to where you're working on different things. Having that music could help you, I think. Yeah, I think that's an interesting something that could help. Yeah.
Yeah. Just I know that like in your videos you talk a lot about like planning and having like a journal and a schedule. Do you think that planning your day on a schedule is going to be helpful to sort of manage how much work you're doing and how much of your like sort of spare time that you have, and how do you like stick to it? Because I can imagine it can be quite hard or no, it can be quite easy to just like stray away from certain things and say like, I can't be bothered to do this now. I'll add it to my schedule or something tomorrow.
Absolutely. Like, so I started using like a calendar for scheduling I don't know, in sixth form. That's when I started using it. And then I really started being even more consistent when I started university. And so like all the time things change on my schedule. Like I always have to move things around. And if you're looking back, you can look back on your different weeks and you can see, okay, because of how I have it color coded. So if I just go to it now, I can say, so like for orange, like a light orange, I have work, and then so like work/business. So like anything that is work related, which isn't like working for someone or work such as uni work. Then I have like um, um, study. So that's like any studying for classes. I have UEA. So that will be just UEA general things. So maybe like I have a talk that I'm going to, such as like something by the Business Society or anything like that. Then I have all of my modules in different colors as well. So like NBS dash and then the code of it. And then I have
Nice.
I have personal. So that might be like just like hanging out with friends, hobbies, just anything that is just like for me, or doing something that is kind of is like a life. It's like something that will fall into the life category of work-life balance. And so if you look at that, so like I got my calendar up here now, and I can see that I've got I have it's pretty even. Like not everything's in orange, which I'm pretty happy about, because like
Seeing the orange, you're just like, no, not today, please.
Yeah, and like seeing that balance. Okay, like what's on now is orange, but then after I got something which is in the green, which is under personal. And when you go back and you look at all the weeks behind, you can see, okay, this is where my time's being spent. If I'm not happy, if I'm not feeling happy, and I feel like my work-life balance isn't on point, maybe I need to shift what I'm doing. And I like you said, like it's hard to stick to it. Like it's not easy. And I feel like over the last year, I every day, I haven't found one day on my calendar over the last year which there's not a day where there's not just a blank space, because something will happen that you end up just delaying on the task. You end up doing something else. There's motion between it, and and that's something I would like to see. I would love to see a day where, and like I plan the day, I've had the day, and then when I look back at the day, it's all blocked out, and I can actually see this is where all the time is spent. Like if I look to last Friday, right, I have like, okay, there was a block of time. There's like an hour empty there. So I planned it before, right? But then as the day changes, I change what happens. So I know when I look back, I can see, and that can really help you reevaluate and see where your time's being spent, and allow you to work on trying to find that balance in your life.
Yeah, I guess if you do like plan out the schedule like you can actually like, because a work-life balance is really hard to visualize, but if you have that schedule, you can actually see, if you stick to it enough, you can actually see like how much of your day you're spending on different things. So I guess I can see like you're doing. I actually don't use a schedule. I'm really unorganized, but I basically just write down things that I need to do on like post-it notes like this, basically. So I have like a massive stack of post-it notes, and like every now and then I'll jot something down that I need to do, and basically I just look at it and I'm like, and then I also have like sort of like a diary or like a calendar with me, where I basically write in everything that I need to do. So I sort of use these in conjunction where, like, okay, I need to do this. This is due here. This is due there. This needs to be done here. And basically just work through it like as I want to, because personally, I like doing what I want to do when I want to do it. So like if I want to do this and I don't like, let's say I've got some work to do, unless I have to do it and I want to do something else at the time, I won't do like what I have to do. I'll do the thing I want to do. But you've got to be really careful with that as well, because you don't want to end up spending too much time doing the things that you like feel like doing at the time, and then the stuff that you have to do but you don't want to do it. So I've got to like sort of balance sort of the time that I have, where at the times like, oh yeah, I'm going to study this today, I'll do this today, and then also this is priority right now, this needs to be done.
Like I feel like my life and my productivity were completely changed around after I started. So it all started from when I watched this online class on Skillshare, which was by Thomas Frank, and he talks about these are my different pillars of productivity. He split things into life buckets. So like your job, college or university, your side projects, whatever. And he set out, okay, this is my calendar. This is step one. Here's my to-do list. Here's step two. Here is my note-taking app that I use. And then when I started implementing them and slowly, gradually improving them over time, like you can't go from not having any of these to having them all fixed in one day. It's going to take time to implement them. Like I use something called Notion, and this is something that I use to organize a lot of my notes. And like this is why I have all the plans for my videos. I have like ideas, I chuck them in there. Video projects, like I have some stuff in here for like the podcast we're creating now. Like I have like for the ones that I've edited or something, I have, okay, this is like they call it like a Kanban view, which is like, okay, here's the idea, here's the research, and you just like drag it across, like, and okay, now okay, this is episode 2. I'll drag that over to recording and filming, and I can click into it's a page, and I can just like make notes. It's this app really helped me to figure out a lot more it implements something called building a second brain. And this is like all the notes that you should take notes on things that you're learning and watching about. Just as you are in university, you're going to take notes about your classes. You should take notes about the things you're trying to learn, such as like filmmaking. I'm not just going to watch a video about something and then not make notes on it, because by making notes on it, you can always come back to it and easily get it instead of having to rewatch a whole video that you might not even be able to find. So having all of those in one whole app it's like your brain is for coming up with ideas, not storing them. You need to use an external system to store all these things.
I think like the power of writing and note taking is definitely like, it's prominent throughout history basically, because there's a book that I'm reading called Sapiens. I think I have it around here somewhere. Yes, I'll get it out of my new drawer that I just built.
Lovely.
So this book, I know that you have this book.
Yeah,
I've seen it in the background of your videos.
Yeah.
But basically, I
haven't read any of it yet. But yeah, go on.
I would recommend reading it. I'm about halfway through. I tried to read it ages ago, but I got really busy, and I've started reading it again because we've got so much time now, basically. But basically, like it was highlighting the importance of like when sort of like ancient civilizations started making notes and keeping things on paper. Like basically, they were able to store so much more information, and that is like the fundamental point that managed to like bring loads and loads of people together to live in like these massive like empires in a way. But yeah, like basically the importance of taking notes is like fundamental, because it's like at the time they say like, okay, I paid like for 3 apples off of you, and you didn't give me like, I don't know, I forgot to pay you or something. So then you'd write down, you owe me this much.
Yeah.
And then they can basically use that to keep track of everything that's going on, because you'll forget.
Yeah.
But that's detrimental to you, because you're like, wait, I need that money, you know?
Yeah. Like imagine we went to shops and they didn't give us any receipts. Like there's no option for receipts. How are you going to be proof that you bought something from them? They could just go, oi, you didn't pay for that. It's like,
yeah. Yeah. Another really interesting thing that was highlighting is basically like how the way that like the human body works, and the way that like, you know, we remember things, and how sort of like sort of the way that society is developed and stuff, is that basically like, so take for example email. Like before, sending like mail to someone, like it used to take ages. Like you had to just like send it and like travel, you know, miles and miles just to get from one place to the other. But then after a while, once email came into play, we were like, wow, this is amazing. You know, like we can send things back and forth, and our lives are a lot easier because we don't have to wait for messages. We can just do it, you know, constantly, and there's just email sent out everywhere. But then what you don't realize is, on top of that, even though this like email is like revolutionary, like we can all keep in contact and stuff, but now because like you've got so much email coming in, it's now causing more stress than it did before. When, you know, waiting for, you know, stuff to come back and forth wasn't too bad. It got better for a bit, but then you realize like after a while, wow, this email is actually like really detrimental, because I've just got all this stuff that I can't handle anymore. I'm getting too many emails to keep up with.
Yeah, absolutely. Like doing stuff such as you can like schedule your email and batch it. So like you could only check email once a day. Obviously, if you're something like a personal assistant to someone, chances are that's not the right. You're not going to be able to do that because your job is basically checking emails. But if your job or what you do allows you to only check email once a day, and that could not only save you time, but just allow you to be in a better space mentally, because it's not the constant checking of email every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every couple of hours or something. It gives you more space to breathe and focus more on what's more important.
Yeah, and just some of the things, like, because we did a bit of like research into this before we started this, but I think one of the main things that you can actually do in order to like just have like short-term like relief is literally just stop and breathe. Like there's this like video on or it might be like an article on TED, I think I saw, that basically it was just showing you like just breathing is like a really good way just to like sort of relax and just bring yourself back to like a level where you can sort of focus and build from the top. Another good way that I like to sort of get myself away from the sort of the stresses from work and like from emails is to meditate. And I did that for a really long time. I started throughout my A levels, and I used this app called Headspace. I think you've probably heard of Headspace.
Yeah, I've been using Headspace as well. Like I got the like I was doing it the other day actually, and he was talking. The person that was on the meditation, he was like, each time he was like, he'll give you like a task to do. He's like, each time you stand up, think or sit down, think about it, be present in the moment, and that makes like, okay, if I'm gonna stand up now, just acknowledging that, and that really amazed me. Like he said that in that, and then the next day I meditated, and he was talking about. I was like, oh, how did you do that today? I was like, I completely forgot about that. So the next day I did do it, and like that day after that he said that, I was like, wow, just like being more present in the moment. I don't think I've reached a lot of what I could get from meditation, but it's given me so much more mental clarity.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So I think one of the biggest issues for me is when I come around exam seasons, because I'm just filling my head with so much stuff, and I really struggle to find the time to get myself back on track and get myself back to like a level where I can sort of be like, okay, I can get my mental state back to a good level to carry on. But basically, like, I don't know if you've experienced this before, but I get like this really cloudy feeling. It's the only way I really describe it. It's where like my head sort of feels a bit numb, and it's just like I just feel like so out of the world, like because I'm just so focused on getting these exams done and wanting to do the best that I can, that I just sort of zone out from the world. And one of the big things that meditation did for me is it sort of brought me out of that, like that storm that was happening in my head, and brought me back down just so I could look up and just see like how much of a shithole that I was in, basically. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely helpful. It really sort of makes you realize like how out of touch with sort of everything that's going on around you, being like on with technology and just being at work all the time. It really does sort of space you out from everything that's going on around you, and it really does stress you out. Like it really does stress me out, for one. But you know, sometimes it's just unavoidable. Like there is a certain amount of work that we have to do if we want to get to where we want to be, but meditation really does sort of, it is that sort of like it just sort of pushes you. It gives you that push to keep going forward.
It lets you it makes you acknowledge what things are really like how maybe like it something like references to stoicism is like which is like things which might you think are like, okay, something bad has happened and you might go, oh, you might have a really big reaction to it, but when you step back and acknowledge it and think about it, actually it's not actually that big of a deal. It's like you're subconsciously overreacting to something, and you just need to take a step back, breathe, and just live in the moment.
Yeah, we'll definitely put down that article that I read about breathing techniques. I haven't actually tried it, but let us know if it does work, and if the breathing technique does work for you.
Yeah,
there was
also,
another TED.
Also, if you're a student like us, you can get Headspace plus Spotify Premium for $4.99 a month, and that's something that I have. I'm assuming you have the same one as well.
Yeah, I've seen the deal. I don't actually have it because I don't really use Spotify too much. I just use YouTube, and I sort of just deal with the ads. I do need to update my thing, but yeah.
I was always on Spotify for the free version, but as soon as I saw it, that Headspace came with it at the same price, I was like, it's definitely worth it for me.
I'm trying to cut down on the amount of monthly things that I'm subscribed to, because after a while I'm realizing like £50 coming out of my like account every month on all these monthly subscriptions to thing, and I'm just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, I've got to cut some of this down. So
yeah.
That's one of the main reasons. But there's another TED thing that I watched by Nigel Marsh, and he just does like a whole sort of presentation on work-life balance. But basically, he was basically like joking around, saying that he's got this like ultimate like work-life balance, like it's undefeated, like his is like the ultimate. But basically, past all the humor and getting down to like the actual serious sort of like summary of the presentation, he was basically just saying that like you shouldn't plan to like your work-life balance on a long scale. Like if you're like working like ridiculously hard and you're leaving no time for your life, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm working this hard, and I'm going to keep working this hard now, because in like 5 years from now I'll be a doctor, or I'll be a lawyer, and I'll have loads and loads of money and a really happy family, and I'll be happy. But realistically, that's just not what happens. Like, people realize that they get to that stage, they're like, they've worked like so hard, and then they realize like, what just happened for the last like 5-6 years? What have I done? I've literally done nothing but work. And you might have realized that all your like family and like relationships have just like plummeted.
Yeah.
So
it's like
basically,
carry on.
Basically, the way that you should do it is that you have to plan short-term time for yourself and time for your life. Like just try and like keep it, because now if you just work all the time now, you need to fit in the space now, because 6 years from now, and you're still going to be in like a good position, but you would have looked back and thought, you know what, I had a good time. Like, I did all this stuff with my friends and had all this time to enjoy my life whilst I was still working hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think finding that balance, because people say, okay, I'm going to work really hard now, earn all this money, then I'm going to go do what I want after. But after, you're going to have a family, you're going to have kids, and then you're going to be like, okay, I just need to continue doing what I've been doing this whole time, which maybe someone in the job that I didn't really enjoy. So doing things, do something that you enjoy, do a job that you enjoy, plus make time for the other things you like, and like your friendships, your relationships, all of that. And then you end up being much more happier. It's like, you don't need to don't make money your motivator.
Yeah, definitely. I think because most people that show off all their money, like, they might be happy, but money can only really buy you like short-term happiness. Like, they always say like, oh yeah, money can buy happiness. I think it can, but only short-term. It's like, let's just say, okay, like, I was telling you, like, I built this desk and this chair from IKEA. So I spent money on this. This is like my short-term happiness. Like, I have a desk now. This is great. But like, after a while, I'm going to get used to having this desk, and it's just going to be a standard for me. And that happiness just won't last. But, if I go out to the cinema with some friends and we eat out and we have like a lovely, lovely evening, that's going to stick. And then I'll look back on that, and it will keep me happy in like a much longer term. So I definitely agree with what you were saying there.
Yeah, and those things are much more meaningful than an object, or doing those things with people is much more meaningful than anything you can buy from anywhere. And like Nigel Marsh said in that talk, it was like the little things matter. It's like he was talking about how he had like this, he spent this like afternoon and evening with his kid, and he said Dad, that was the best day of my life. And I was like, it's just you don't realize how much just the little things, doing those things, what the impact of it could have.
Yeah, because like basically he was saying that he just came home from he come off early from work, wasn't he saying? And he picked up his son or something or daughter from school, and they went to the park and did some other things. And the kid said it was the best day of his life, which and it's like that wasn't much really. Just leaving work early to spend like a day out of so many that's going to come like for the whole year and for years to come, just to take that time out. I think it's very important. There's one thing talking about, you know, I was telling you about that long-term goal where it's like, oh yeah, like I want to be like a doctor or a lawyer. You know, I don't know if you remember, but I used to want to do medicine.
Yeah.
Like when I was doing my A-levels, and basically from probably when I did my GCSEs to the end of probably the end of year 12, I'd say, I was like so like set on doing medicine, and I was working so hard, and I was like doing all of this stuff. But you know, now I look back and I think I just wasted so much time on things that I could have, you know, experienced a bit more. Like one of the main things was over the summer to do medicine, you have to sit an exam called the UK CAT. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. You mentioned it before.
Yeah, but basically like it's just like an aptitude test for medics that you have to sit, and you have to get a certain grade in it for certain unis to accept you. I ended up spending like basically my whole year 12 summer just studying this for the UK CAT to go to do medicine. But I ended up not getting the grade I wanted, and I ended up really struggling to get into a uni, and I ended up going with my backup, which was biochemistry. But basically the summary of like this story is, and like all this work that I did to try and get into medicine, is that I ended up realizing after I ended up taking on biochemistry at King's that I'm actually, I think that I'm actually enjoying this, and that biochemistry is more of like my career choice and what I'm actually interested in. But now I look back, there were so many hints to me, because obviously like I found the anatomy and stuff interesting, but on top of that, like as I was doing like the biology, the chemistry, the physics and all of this, I actually found sort of like the biochemical stuff and the stuff that was not related to medicine in any way a lot more interesting. And I ended up looking into like loads of other things. Like my extended project that I did in year 12 wasn't about medicine at all. It was about like synthetic biology, which is like all to do with biochemistry. And that those hints like that have been there for so long. So basically, I think the summary of that is, don't let like failures sort of get to you, and don't just give up there, because
it's like the world is slightly just pushed you in the right direction. Like so everything happens for a reason. Like compared to if you did medicine, you're much happier now than you could have been if you're doing medicine. Because medicine, I know, like I met some medic students at UEA, is like that they work so hard. They have that is unbelievable that how much work they have to do. And like for me, right, where I am now, it wasn't completely my first choice of uni. And like if I got 2 more marks on one of my papers, I would have got my firm university choice, right? But I'm really happy where I am at now, and like, and I've got nothing to complain about. And I'm really enjoying everything that's there. So it's like I said, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, there was someone that I used to know that if you don't get into medicine the first time, you know, you can defer a year and take a gap out, and then you can sit the same exams again. I had to obviously consider that after I failed. I was like, do I want to take another year out and go through the whole UCAS application again, make another personal statement? And on top of that, unis expect you in your gap year to go away and like basically redo any experience that you did and gain more and more experience. Like, so over the summer, instead of like working or like working on myself and building up my own character and stuff I wanted to do, I would have had to go to like hospitals and volunteer and put all that on like the personal statement to show that the uni, like, okay, this is what I did in my gap year, because a lot of them actually really care about what you did in your gap year. But I ended up just coming to the conclusion, like, I'm just going to do biochemistry. but there's someone that I know that did decide to take a gap year, and they ended up doing that 3 times after failing the test 3 times. And then on the 3rd time, they actually did get in. But then on top of that, you've now got to do another 5-6 years of being a doctor, like, and going through the whole doctor training. And then even after you've done that, you only start off as a junior doctor, and then you've still got to carry on. And like the pay as a junior doctor, like, you know, there's been like, you know, like protests from junior doctors like all the time about how they just get paid like crap, which is what they do. They get paid like terribly for the amount of work and hours they put in.
And then there's like specializing as well after. It's like because it's like 5 or 6 years of medical school, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like, it depends on which uni you go to. I think some of them, I know that Oxbridge, they do 6 years for sure, but it really depends. I think the reason it's 6 years is because if you want, I think in your 3rd year you're allowed to do, they let you go off and do research for a year, I think, if you want to. So, because there's someone that I knew that I actually did a volunteering with them at one point. They were taking their medic year, and they were at Imperial, and they were doing like Alzheimer's research and trauma research, and I helped along with that. So, but they were medics; they weren't like researchers. They were just doing their 3rd year. So, but yeah, I think it's so hard to find like the work-life balance, isn't it? At the end of the day, like,
it's like I said at the beginning, it's like, I would love to say, I would love for me to say, I have it all. I have the solution. I have the perfect balance. But honestly, I don't. And it's just something that can develop over time. Like loads of things that in life, they develop over time.
Do you think that there is certain career choices, like maybe being a doctor, that basically it restricts you from having a good work-life balance? Like there's some career choices where you have no choice in the say whatsoever.
Definitely. Like being something like a doctor or a lawyer. It's long hours. It's really long hours. Like I know, I can't remember if I'm wrong, but people who are doctors, they can work like 12-hour shifts, and people that are like work for law firms or something, they might not have to stay in work to work. Like technically, they don't have to stay in, but for them to get their work done for tomorrow, they need to stay, and they need to stay to 9 p.m., 10 p.m. It's like the career you choose can really impact how many hours you have to work. Like I said, not actually have to work, but you have to stay and work to get that done because your boss is telling you to do that. It's like when you, like, it's typical that lawyers have really long hours. Or like, what are some other like jobs that have like, they say like work, there's not a lot of work-life balance?
So we've got like the medics, lawyers, I guess any sort of like law sort of related, because I mean you've got to be in the courtroom like long hours in the day, and you've also got to research cases, and depending on sort of what sort of lawyer you are and what you do in the court. But I think they're the two like the main ones. But they're then again, like they're two of the most popular courses that you can apply to at uni, right? It's like medicine is like ridiculously oversubscribed, and then I think law is as well. But I don't know any other. I think they're the two main ones, really.
Just having money is important because you need to be able to live. You need that stability, but you don't need the luxuries. You don't need the dumb shit that everyone has. You don't need the fancy cars, the fancy watches. You just need the stuff that makes you happy. If that makes you happy, like, you be you. If you want that, have that. But like for me, I know that I don't need that.
Yeah, another really interesting thing that I was reading about in the book Sapiens is that when you actually think about it, money doesn't really mean anything in the natural world. Like, if you think about it, money is literally, what is money? Like, it's nothing. It's just a piece of paper with some famous people on it, with some like signatures from like the chief of like the Bank of England or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Is it the Bank of England? But it's crazy, like, because like, we look at money like most days, and I can't even remember half the stuff that's on it. It just shows how meaningless it really is. It's just a piece of like paper or a coin that's been assigned something, and basically everyone around you believes that thing. So then you're obliged to believe it too, because someone else believes that this piece of paper is £10. I also have to believe it's £10 for us to communicate, you know. But I think in order to get over that barrier of like, I want money, just think about it. Like money in natural terms doesn't really do anything. It is literally just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's literally all it is.
And like people might be trying like to play catch up with other people. Like I remember watching this video years ago, and it's like someone was like, okay, you're earning, say you're earning, I don't know, $50,000 a year, and then everyone that in your area earns $100,000 a year. So that person goes, oh, I need to earn that same amount, and then they earn that amount, then they move house, but then everyone on that house earns another 100 grand, and then they say, okay, I need to earn that, and then like it goes up and up and up, and it's just a spiral of like end up just being negativity.
Yeah, isn't there that thing where it's like there's like someone on the sidewalk or the pavement, like, and they look at someone on a bike and it's like, man, I wish I had a bike. And then there's someone on a bike that's like, man, I wish I could afford a car. And then someone in that car like sees a Ferrari, man, I wish I could afford that Ferrari.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it just keeps going on and on. So
yeah, it's just
yeah, I see what
endless.
you mean.
And it's like there was this. You've probably seen it as well. Like it blew up ages ago, but it was like this. I think it was a lecturer or a professor. He had like a $20 bill or something, and so he had it in his hand. He's like, how much is this worth? This is worth $20. Then he scrunched it up in his hand. He's like, how much is it worth? It's $20. He gets on it, throws it on the floor, steps on it. How much is this worth? It's $20. So no matter what happens to that money, or what happens to you, like if no matter how things that don't work out for you, you're still worth something. You're still the same. You're still worth the same. Like you personally, you're still the same thing.
Yeah, I think isn't it one of like the main like the one of the Buddhist principles is like you have to be. It's just to seek like that happiness. It's like that's what their whole like the religion is basically like based on. But you know they're like known and sort of stereotypically known like to not really care about money. Like all things are seen as equal, which is actually a really good way to look about things. Obviously, if you're religious in your own right, or don't like let this stray you away or anything, but do you know what I mean? but yeah, like the Buddhists, they just have like this principle where like money really doesn't really mean anything.
Absolutely.
How long has this been going on for now?
I think let's see, Audacity is 1 hour 15, so probably about an hour now.
Do you want to end it up here? Is there anything else that you really want to? Oh, there is one other thing that I do need to say. You know, I was showing you about this earlier about the kanji that I've been writing.
Yeah.
And we were saying about how to work smarter in order to sort of be more productive. But basically, this book I've been reading is called Remembering the Kanji. And basically, instead of having to memorize, like, because the Japanese, like, basically from when they join high school, they're basically like told to just write out symbol after symbol until like it sticks. And you basically have to rely on like that sort of like visual memory in order to remember each character. But the way that the book goes about it is it uses something called imaginative memory, which is basically where you build like a picture and like you build like a story up behind a symbol, so that when you see the symbol, you don't just look at it and think it means this word. You then have to like draw back on all the principles and like the imagery that you've produced in your head around that symbol, which will then help you remember it. And I've been looking at kanji for like, I think like 4 days now, and I've managed to remember 67 symbols so far, which is something that I think would personally be quite tricky to do in the span of 4 days, unless you're like constantly doing it like a full-time job. But I've only been spending like an hour every morning going over it. So basically like optimizing like that imaginative memory is basically like a way that sort of cut out a lot of the time that I would be spending on like working.
Yeah, like I went back when I was like studying for like A levels or something. I used flashcards, but then like I would draw pictures on them to help me memorize what it is. So like I would have a question, and on the answer side, I'd have a picture plus the written answer. So then all I have to do is visualize the picture, and then by having that picture, it made me click and link it to what the answer was. So it's like
so it's the same sort of principle, like that imaginative memory. I guess we should probably do an episode on study technique. That'll probably be happening quite soon. I'm not sure. I can't really remember what we have on our list, but
there's a lot of stuff that we could dive into on that. Yeah,
we do need recommendations as well from Spot. Yeah, we'll have to check out your Instagram and stuff for that anyway. But right, should we finish this up?
Cool.
It's been
all right. I just want to end on this quote by Aristotle. We always repeatedly do excellent, therefore it's not act but a habit. This is like one of my favorite quotes. And when I was looking at it yesterday, this quote, I was like, it's always been one of my favorite quotes. And I was thinking, this doesn't have to just apply to what we want to achieve, such as our goals, our habits, but this can apply to your personal lives, having that work-life balance. If you're always working, then you don't have as a good a work-life balance if you have that balance. So building up the habit of having that balance is what Aristotle would call as excellence.
I see. Very, very inspiring. Very inspiring. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess just before we finish this up, we should probably just bring our attention back to sort of like Black Lives Matter movement that's really been taking its steed recently with like people starting to realize that the sort of severity of the issue with the unfortunate events of George Floyd. So just a reminder that we will be putting all these like links in the ways that you can help in the show notes. Is there like an email that you could email if you want questions or any sort of questions about any episodes that we could maybe answer? We use
we could put an email in the show notes, and yeah.
So you could contact that email if you want. If you have any sort of questions or want to ask us anything personal or any sort of ideas that you might have had that we could maybe about this episode that we could maybe talk about in the next one or ones to come. We could maybe do like a
like we understand that maybe people are not feeling the best right now, especially with everything happening. And like I know from like maybe this podcast might not sound as enthusiastic as like our first one, and I feel like just everything that's happening is bring a bit of a toll on everyone and just make people like realize think about stuff. So yeah.
If I do recommend watching a video. Do you know who Prince EA is on YouTube?
Yeah. I've seen this stuff before. Yeah.
He did a video recently about the whole situation. So I would recommend watching that. I find a lot of his content to be quite powerful and moving, which was really sort of the turning point for me as well. Like with all the news and stuff circulating, it really was the sort of pushing point for me to be like, wow, like this really is sort of as big an issue as I didn't realize it was as big as an issue when I first saw it. So it really did give me that push to sort of understand the sort of injustice that goes on in the world. But because obviously we're like both like white males, it's sort of hard for us to sort of understand the sort of things that are going on unless we like personally experience it. But obviously the way that the society sort of that works at the minute, we don't really get the chance to sort of experience those sort of things. So videos like his do really open our eyes to that sort of thing.
Yeah, because we don't have first-hand perspective on it, and like so hearing things by people that have, it allows you to acknowledge it more. We're never going to experience it directly, and it's like, and that's what it is. But doing what we can to help those people that are struggling from it is like, I think that's the best thing we can do, and like just do what we can to push to positive change.
Yeah. So as a reminder, everything will be in the show notes.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks a lot for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.